As the Ottawa Fury FC's inaugural season in the NASL inches ever closer, the Fury continue to give their fans some extra time at the Berryman Pub. This week, it was a panel filled with Richard Starnes, Fury head coach Marc Dos Santos, as well as technical director Phillip Dos Santos, to discuss the growing climate of soccer in Canada in an open forum with an interactive question and answer period with the panelists.
Just to quickly introduce our panel, to my far right, Phillip Dos Santos. He is the technical director of Ottawa Fury FC, UEFA A licensed coach. He also just recently returned from Nice, France, where he was the head coach of our Canadian team at the Francophone Games. So Phillip is our first panelist, a man that you've met on several occasions at these events. His brother, our head coach of Fury FC, Marc Dos Santos. Marc has, obviously, you know his reputation. He's coached at various levels, most well known for his coaching of the Montreal Impact and the successes that he led that team to. But what a lot of people don't realize, and something that I think he's most proud of, is his time coaching in Brazil. It's not an easy thing. It's like sending a Brazilian here to lead a professional hockey team. It's just unheard of. So to go down there and achieve what he did, leading the U15 side of Palmeiras, correct, to the Brazilian Youth Championship, that's a very impressive thing. Something that I think he silenced a lot of critics down in Brazil for. So obviously we're very excited to have him on staff of Fury FC, and happy to have him on our panel tonight. And a man who shouldn't need any introduction because of his long-standing column in the Ottawa Citizen and everything that he's done for the soccer community here in Ottawa. My co-host on Corner Kicks, don't hold it against him that he's a Chelsea supporter. It doesn't really mess with his opinions too much, at least pertaining to soccer in Canada. So
I don't work for the Fury, so you can ask me questions.
Yeah. So Richard Starnes, our third panelist.
Some of the topics of conversation ranged on how and when to spot talent.
And you spot talent and you start developing talent when kids are 5 and 6 years old. And it's not happened in this country ever. It probably hasn't happened because 90% of the coaches of 5 and 6 year olds are parents who probably never played the game, really don't understand it, and that has to change. So when I say it's going to take a long time, 7, 6, 7, 8 year olds now learning how to play the game and learning the real fundamentals of the game is the only way you can develop people from the bottom, so that by the time they get into the teenage years, they've actually learned the real fundamentals of the game, which doesn't happen. It hasn't happened until now in this country.
We have to stop being naive, in the sense where we do what we did in the past few years was to promote a sport, and we have a huge mass today, a huge amount of soccer players. But what's the environment those players are really in? I think environment is everything. We have our young players growing in systems where they play maybe 2-3 times soccer a week, 2 practices a game, sometimes 2 practices, 2-3 games when they go to a tournament. So it's not even close to what they need to do. They just play in that organized environment, so they don't put the hours in a non-organized environment. And then what was mentioned is that when you identify the better ones, they still play in leagues that are subpar, where competition is very average.
Now that there is a professional franchise in Ottawa, how can this benefit players that play in Ottawa at any level? How can this benefit players that play in Canada now that there is another professional team here in Ottawa, here in Canada for that matter?
For sure that the more pro teams you have playing at the highest level possible, like MLS and NASL, players are going to be put in the right environment, at least in the men's side, to succeed. Okay? But what does that mean for Ottawa? You know, and this is my concern, because at the end of the day, I'm very cold with that, and you guys want to win as much as I do. So we want this to be a winning city in soccer. So at the end of the day, we're going to go after the best players possible. So if the guy is American, I'm not going to be able to help the CSA. You understand? I want to make it sure that it's very clear to the people, because I've heard a lot of things that now that Ottawa is coming in, more Canadian young players are going to have chances. Yeah, because it's another club. But what would you guys do if you're in my place and there's an American from 0 to 10, he's 8, and a Canadian that is 6? What do I take, guys?
Yeah, I think part of the impact, no pun intended, is that it gives them something to aspire to. Because when you have a local team that you support, you aspire
100%.
to. That's a major difference.
That's the major difference, but after there's the reality that it's the club. And for me, the most important thing is the Ottawa Fury.
For information on the next Extra Time event, please follow us on Twitter at Ottawa Fury FC, on our website at ottawafuryfc.com, and like us on our Facebook page.